92.3 Nigeria. So good afternoon to you. I am Kala Dakuru Batabo, and it is my pleasure. We're live on Facebook, live on YouTube, Nigerian Info PH, active on X, Nigerian Info PH, and the conversations continue right about now. And this time, I want to take us to a conversation about the politics happening here in Rivers State. Newspapers had the headline yesterday, a lot of them, if not all of them, Supreme Court to deliberate on or to hear on 5 matters bordering on political issues in Rivers State. That was like basically what the headlines were saying about the political matters in Rivers State as of yesterday. And so Arise TV decided to have a conversation about it and invited Frank Tete, who is a lawyer based in Abuja, I believe, and also an activist and development advocate. And in that conversation, he talked about how, and basically what you and I have been talking about for more than a year. Yes, we may have different opinions about it, but, you know, it was basically what you and I have been talking about for this long, which is whether, for instance, you know, the 27 have defected, or if 3-4 man assembly can lead, why not wait for the Supreme Court, you know, to give a judgment? Why is the judiciary too slow? You know, we also talked about if the National Assembly should take over on about 2-3 occasions, I remember. And 31st of December, about 2 weeks ago, we spoke with Achinike Wobodo Esquire, Williams Achinike Wobodo Esquire. And I remember on that show, he said something about the National Assembly should assume the legislative role of, you know, the Rivers State House of Assembly, given the divide and given the plethora of court cases, and given how this has impeded the development or obstructed the development here in Rivers State. Now, like some people mentioned, the fact that despite, you know, being at opposing ends politically, they were able to, I'm talking about the governor and the FCD minister, to stay in the same room for the development of Ogoni people, is a testament to the fact that there can be development when we are not playing politics all the time, right? When we do not politicize everything in the state. And it gives me hope that while the Supreme Court will begin to hear the matter in about 19 days' time, there is a bit of worry for me that anything can happen in 19 days' time. For instance, I'll take you on a trip back to December 31st, January 1, and then a couple of days later. 31st, we had the statement of I still have the red barrel, and then we saw a reaction, and then of course we then saw the statement credited to orderly, and then we saw another reaction, and then we saw the conversations made by Yesomike, and then there were reactions. And then of course there was the budget presentation to a 3-member assembly, and my goodness, there were numerous reactions. So you see, the back and the forth as somewhat stalled. You may not agree. You may say, oh, the state is doing fine, for those of you who are supporters of the governor. For those of you who are not supporters of the governor, you may say yes, yes, yes. But I'm not looking at it from a political standpoint. I'm saying that if for some reason things were going the way they were supposed to go, for people, by the people, and of the people, then we would have seen a massive development, and we would have been wowed as to the potential that lies in Rivers State. And if for a second, I'm not saying, for those of you who have traveled to states like Lagos and Abuja, you understand where the narrative I'm coming from is coming from, or the narrative I'm trying to drive is coming from, right? For those of you who have left the country, you even know better than I am trying to describe what I'm trying to describe. I don't know if it's making sense. What we see as development many a times, if we leave, then we can understand, or we may understand, that there is more to what we deserve or what we have been given. I wonder what's wrong with my vocabularies once again. But any which ways, this lawyer is arguing, and I'm bringing it so we can look at it together, that it's a shame that the judiciary is slow. But then again, he pointed to the fact that there is the abuse of judicial process, which we have talked about as well. Then he goes ahead to talk about the National Assembly taking charge of the legislative duties. And then I'm thinking, if the National Assembly can be neutral, which is a possibility, because the National Assembly is going to be a combination of the upper and lower chambers. It's also going to be people from different political parties with different political interests. The governor will have his friends there. The FCT minister will have his friends there. So it's not going to be one side take it all. There is that possibility. But then again, there is the possibility of the Senate president being a very good political friend of the FCT minister, and there is the possibility that it may take a political dimension if the National Assembly decides to take over legislative duties here in Rivers State. There is also the argument of the court cases, plethora, the one stopping National Assembly from taking over, the one saying that Martin Amaewhule is the authentic speaker and the 27 are authentic assembly members. The other one from the State High Court, which just happened recently, also saying the 3 members can sit pending when the Supreme Court rules on the matter. I mean, yes, my goodness, there is the back and the forth. Interesting conversations. And I wonder, with these court cases, if the National Assembly can step in. But for a second, I want you to imagine, if we had a neutral assembly, if for any second the National Assembly can be neutral, what is the impact, or what do you think will be the impact on Rivers State? I want you to think for a second. If for any beat, it's a second, a minute, 30 seconds, we can have a neutral National Assembly, assuming the lawyer's, of course, interpretation is right. I mean, do you agree with his interpretation in the first place? But assuming it's right, did you think it would benefit Rivers State? So I'm just going to play a bit of that interview for you so you can listen, so it doesn't appear like I made it up, like So let's listen to...
I think we shouldn't really just limit it to the courts. I think we should approach it from a systemic point of view. Why is the Nigerian system unable to deal with crisis, especially political crisis, with the court system? So the court system is supposed to be to resolve dispute, prevent crisis, but we've actually had several crises in Rivers State in course of the tussle, whether or not the 27 members who defected are still validly members of the House of Assembly, or looking at the root cause, which is the threat to political control of Rivers State, which is a fight between two gargantuan political figures, talking about Nyesom Wike and the current governor, Sim Fuba. However, if you look at the incidences where the State House of Assembly complex was actually demolished just to, as perceived by certain elements, that it was done so that there couldn't be any form of formal sitting for the removal, for the impeachment of the governor. So we send with, as a people, we have a very low barometer when it comes to compliance with law, or even imbibing the culture of following legal standards. That's why we always appeal all the time, most of the time, to force. So it creates more and more problems. So why do you think that we have so many cases that, as we speak, the Supreme Court is fixing on the February 10th for judgment? Who knows what will happen before then? even though there was an application for consolidation of 5 cases, which means there was quite multiplicity of cases that were filed. And if you have that situation, the undertone is that there is, the abuse of the court process, and you abuse court process in forum shopping, in influence peddling, within the judiciary, and the minister of the FCT, Wike, is perceived to be a very influential figure as a member of the body of benchers, and then a very influential governor when at the time he was governor and a lawyer of repute. He said to be perceived to have a lot of influence on the judiciary. Such kind of perceptions not too good. So the politics of the judiciary hasn't really helped Rivers State. So we are at a cusp in our development where we have all agreed that there should be some form of judicial reform. But judicial reform shouldn't really tackle corruption alone, which has now become a buzzword, but we should actually make the justice delivery process to be more effective. In the case of Rivers State, I think it's a disservice to Nigeria as a whole, not only the people of Rivers State. The state of the budget is uncertain, the state of its House of Assembly is uncertain. And I don't know how we can describe us as a democracy where we perceive that 3 can now overtake the issues of Rivers State in the House of Assembly as against the 27, and it keeps lingering. We don't know where it is. Doesn't really help anybody. Many a times, in fact, at the point where the House of Assembly complex of the River State was demolished, in the perception of, and then we saw tempers rising and forces and counter forces coming, and then we knew that there was going to be an invitation to violence. One would have expected the invocation of the constitutional provision that imposes a responsibility on the National Assembly to actually take over the functions of the River State House of Assembly. It is very sad that a respected lawyer like Godswill Akpabio, as our Senate President, would watch, not necessarily helplessly, but carelessly, as things unfold in River State, and then he seems to be pay more allegiance to party, to party interest, that he has not taken over. I mean, he has not seen to the action of the National Assembly taking over the operations of the River State House of Assembly so that they can pass budget. It doesn't make any sense that Godswill Akpabio, as Senate President, would stand by and watch situations grant to a halt or grant to a level of uncertainty, and we allow the court process to linger this long, and we don't know what it's about, when it could have simply taken over the functions. I'm talking about the National Assembly and the Senate, taking over the operations of the River State House of Assembly, and then let's have a semblance of a sane budget for the Governor Sim Fubara to operate by. But as we speak, it's just a cesspool of lawlessness and uncertainty.
All right, we'll go for a quick commercial. You've heard the lawyer there. And, if you've noticed, I've decided not to bring a Port Harcourt-based lawyer so we don't say, oh, he's on one side. Well, what are your thoughts? Listening to that lawyer, I'd like to hear from you. Do stay tuned after the commercial.
Nigeria Info. Right back after
phone lines. Enough of presentation. Now, time for me to listen to your thoughts. This is what they think about the Rivers politics, outside of Rivers State. I mean, I want to think so. If a lawyer and a political analyst on national TV is saying this, maybe other people are thinking in that direction as well. Is it something we need to correct, or is it something we should accept? That's a question I'm asking you, the listener. What do you think? I mean, because every day there's the argument. Sims camp, Wike's camp, Wike's lawyer, Sims lawyer. So do you think if we had a National Assembly, remember once again, the National Assembly is made up of the Senate and the House of Representatives. Now, they are of different political parties, and if all of them decide now to deliberate on legislative issues in Rivers State, what it would mean is there may be, emphasis now on the word may be, some semblance of neutrality in legislative duties in the state. But then, can we really attain neutrality when we talk National Assembly? Remember, a majority of members are from the APC, and there's of course Senator Akpabio, Senate President, who is very much a political ally of the former governor, now FCT Minister, Nyesom Wike. So, I don't know, what do you make of this move or this call for the National Assembly, to take over control of legislative duties in the state? Remember, there are court cases to that effect as well. Of course, is it going to be a possibility? Is also something we are taking a look at. Well, let's start with this message, because it says, what you are saying that we're not seeing development in Rivers State because of the court cases in Rivers State is an indictment on the governor, or on the government of Sim Fubara. The governor has done well, whether court cases or not. You see, I said it, someone will misunderstand, and I mentioned it in emphasis at that point. I said, of course there is development, but we could have gotten more than we are currently getting. I said, if you have traveled to other states, I remember saying that if you've gone to Lagos, Abuja, if you've gone outside of the country, then you would know that you deserve more than you're getting. Not just about this current administration. Put all the administrations together since 1999, then you would understand that Rivers State could have gotten more. The potential that lies here in Rivers State. So it is not about Governor Sim Fubara, please. I'm not a politician. I don't play politics. I would not even lie to you. I'm tired of the politics being played in Rivers State. But it's more about, what we can get, development, the potentials that we have as a state. That is the conversation, not about an individual or politicians. So what do you make of the move or the call by that lawyer? That's the conversation. Let's read some more messages. This was that I think we need to consider what the Constitution says about the political situation in the state first. Fidelis Elemua from Chokochiriche. Fidelis, if you listen to the lawyer, Barrister Tete, was saying that yes, the Supreme Court will judge on that issue, but while we're waiting for the Supreme Court to do what it's supposed to do, that certain things must be done to keep government running and rolling. Okay, let's go to the phone line. 0817-923-0002, 0817-923-0003, 0817-923-0007. WhatsApp number 0809-0306-416. All right, let's now start with this caller. 92.3 Nigeria Info.
Canada.
Good afternoon.
When I was
your name. Tell us your name, please. Your name, your location.
My name is Lawson. I'm calling from Yenekwa.
All right, Lawson.
You see, this is how a lawyer should analyze issues. Not some of them that you are bringing. They are all taking sides. Look, you see the way he spoke. I mean, both sides. He's talking about this side. He's talking about this side, and then at the end of the day, he's telling you what is bad and what is good. We have been crying out. How can three people be? Honestly, I don't know. It is not about the majority in the National Assembly. It is part of their constitutional duty to take over the state houses of assembly where there are problems. But you see that the Akpabio-led Senate is very quiet about it. You don't even understand. Because at the end of the day, there is a movie we make, and people will say, oh, it's political. But look at it. People definitely say it's political, but they will not even remember that it is part of their constitutional responsibility. So for me, this matter needs to be resolved while we are still waiting for the Supreme Court to come up with whatever they want to come up with. There has to be some semblance of assembly in Rivers State.
All right then. 3
people approved the budget. Governor signing a budget. My brother, is an abnormally, and it is long overdue.
Right.
National Assembly should take over and give the governor a
Lawson, thank you very much.
Approved budget.
All right, thank you. Moving on. Jude from Omuma, welcome.
Yeah, Canada.
Yeah, getting sick.
They called by the lawyer for the National Assembly to take over the functions of the State Assembly. You ask whether there will be neutrality.
One of the questions I asked, yeah.
The question is no. There's no way. No way they will do neutrality. No.
What do you mean by no way? No way at all? Really? No way? No way?
No way. You already get some of the reasons. Where you have the Senate President, an ally of former Governor Wike, whom the lawyer described as a brilliant lawyer. He knows better. I'm not a lawyer. Now, you come to the National Assembly itself, both upper and lower. Many of them, I would say, majority of them, belong to the APC group. And these APC people are responsible, or their reports, they pay their allegiance to the president, whom serves as a minister. Now, the upper and lower members, you come to Rivers State. Most of them, if not all, members of the Assembly, National Assembly there, are all allies of former Governor Wike.
You can't say all.
How do you see neutrality?
So you can't say all of them. Some of them are. You can't say all of them. Some of them are daggers drawn. Are you talking about from Rivers State, or are you talking about the entire National Assembly?
I said from Rivers State.
Oh, okay. Many of them, not all of them.
You go to the National Assembly, both upper and lower. They are all APC. APC is a party Governor Wike is working for. And he already enumerated it. So there's no way there can be neutrality. No.
Right.
So anybody calling for that in Rivers State, or if that's what the Constitution says, well, I would say, well, let it be. But otherwise, no one should be.
But yet there is a part of the Constitution that says if the State Assembly is unable to perform its duties, then yes, the National Assembly should step in. But now there is the bone of contention: is the State Assembly unable to function because the Victor Okojumbo?
You said unable.
Yeah,
I'm listening to you.
Okay.
Yeah. Unable. Are they unable now?
That's the question.
Crisis.
All right.
It should be left with the Supreme Court.
Okay.
So
but the Supreme Court is taking time.
And make a pronouncement.
All right, Jude. Jude, I've got to go. Sorry, but then again, the Supreme Court is taking too long. But let's listen to Muriel. Muriel, welcome. What is on your mind? I'd like to hear from you.
Hi, KDB. Good evening.
Yeah, greetings.
All
right, Muriel, welcome.
KDB, I wonder why anybody will be calling for the legislators at the national level, our National Assembly, to come and take over affairs in the state. When we have a legally constitutional and functional legislation in this state, why? I think that call is, I don't want to use any weird word to describe it, but it is very wrong, even to the people of the state.
Mira, you're not a lawyer. He is a lawyer. He doesn't have any political interest in River State. You probably do because you're from River State. So maybe he's seen it clearer than you and I have seen it.
I don't know if you've read his mind and you know all his connection, all his links.
Interesting.
That he doesn't have any
Interesting.
But from me,
yeah.
I think it's a very wrong call, honestly. And nobody should blame the governor. I keep saying it. We may not be lawyers. I might not be a lawyer, but we all know this. We have common sense, and we know. I have to.
So Mira, let's go with your argument. 27 members of the House of Assembly have defected. According to you, they've lost their seats, right? According to you, right? Let's say that is true. Can a 3-member assembly, in your opinion, let's forget law now, let's look at morality, can a 3-member assembly deliberate on activities for over 8 million Rivers people, in your opinion? Okay.
KDB, they may not, trust me, there are stakeholders in all those other communities that don't have a legislation. They will work with the stakeholders.
Okay.
Trust me. They will work with the stakeholders. They know, these stakeholders know exactly what their people want.
So once again, 3 in your opinion. I was going to ask that question for the second time, for posterity's sake. But let's come here, where Clinton is calling from Buri. Clinton, welcome.
Yeah, Kalada, good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Yeah, these are some of the reasons why, initially when this crisis started, we are calling for peace. Because it's like when you contract a foreigner to manage the affairs of your family, when there are capable hands in your family. It's a doctrine of necessity. The National Assembly, they are empowered by law to take over the affairs of the State Assembly when the State Assembly cannot function.
Okay, but now Clinton, can the State Assembly not function at this point? That's the question.
They are not, for me, Kalada.
Oh, okay.
They are not.
Okay.
Because for now, the other interest group is on the other side doing their own. The Matamewule on the other side doing their own. They are all backed by court judgment.
So you're saying the National Assembly should declare a legislative state of emergency and take over River State.
It is a doctrine of necessity, and that's what we are saying we don't want. That's what we are calling for a political solution. That all parties can come together so that River State can enjoy development like Lagos State is doing.
Okay. All right.
But people are paid by this side because they start to benefit one to the other and think engineering this crisis.
All right then.
It's just like that, and it's bad. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Clinton. Isaiah George from Buguma. Isaiah, welcome. What is on your mind?
Yeah, the Kalada. I think we've gone beyond that, and of course, it's not too healthy for the legislative activity here in the state. I want to say that let the National Assembly mind their business. Their lawmaking has never change anything in this country. It has never bring hope and relief to the people of Nigeria. How much more coming to add the one that is here? I think the Supreme Court is about to hear most of the pending issues before them. And I think after hearing, it will not be too long. Because in as much as they want to hear, I think after their hearing, handing down judgment will not be so long. So I think you see the Senate President keep coming to the state and then citing and making all kind of statements, proving that he is now a part and parcel of the FCT minister. Now you expect such person in leading the National Assembly.
But Isaiah, do you understand that Senator Akpabio is not the National Assembly? He is the Senate President, yes, but he does not make up. His vote alone cannot make the decision. I hope you know that.
I know, but whichever, my brother, we don't need that.
Okay.
The situation in the state, you can see that the governor, in his nature, as be able to manage the situation. That is why all the attempts of the enemies of the state cannot see the light of the day. They came detonate some devices, did so many things, all in the name of seeking for emergency of state. Yeah. But at the end of the day, we were able to, in conjunction with the governor, manage the situation.
All right, Isaiah, thank you. Thank you. I've got to go. But then Isaiah does have a point, talking about what is it called now? Talking about the what did he say again? He talked about skip my head. Something is wrong. But I've got Chima from Umukuta. Chima, welcome. What is on your mind? I'd like to hear from you.
Hello, good evening.
Yeah, greetings.
He was talking about the creation of.
No. That something he mentioned something. He just skipped my head. But I'll just go on with your thoughts, please.
I listened to your guest, and it's how he was typically talking. That is an excellent lawyer talking. But then when you see something that is huge, there is nothing you can do about it. Lie does not exist. Lie is not visible. But when you see system, you can hold it, you can feel it. You understand? What the man was talking was very excellent. Now the issue is that if it cannot hold its function, if it cannot, now let it happen to come in now. In Rivers State, it can. Because in the eyes of the law, Rivers State can have an assembly, which the appeal court has said more than 2 times. Now, in this issue, even if Rivers State don't have an assembly, somebody has to report the matter officially to the National Assembly. Either the governor or Rivers State individuals, citizens, will go to the assembly and say, we don't have for now, come and take over our affairs.
All right. Now, Jim, I think I remember what Isaiah was mentioning. The Supreme Court will sit and hear on the 10th of February, but it doesn't mean that the judgment will come on that day. So it means that these cases may linger for a while, maybe March, April. You never can tell, and that means the state will have to drag on up until the end of the first quarter, in my projections, the first quarter of 2025, which doesn't spare well.
I'm coming to that now.
Let's hear you.
What people are doing, what most of these people are doing in Rivers State, you understand, it's about the woman that said cut off the baby. You know what is right. For you to be saying that it is going to linger, I'm going to say to you, they will be disappointed. Because the issue here is that there are 2 instructions. Take back this thing to this assembly, take it back to this assembly, and if the Supreme Court affirms the judgment of the. So what I'm talking in essence is that everything that is happening in Rivers State, we have to say that they took Martin Samuel to court, to Federal High Court, arguing the legitimacy. Okay, my brother, let me ask one question. If you are still arguing about the legitimacy, then you ask them not to function. All
right, Chima, I've got to move on now, but thank you. Thank you. Is it Ken from Abumini? Is it Ken? Welcome.
Good day, Canada.
Is it Ken? Quickly, your thoughts, please.
Canada, you see, I blame the Supreme Court who are yet to decide this particular issue. And if anyone should be asking the National Assembly to come and take the affairs of Rivers State House of Assembly, I think this is what I call indirect state of emergency in the state of Rivers State. No matter what the Constitution implies, I see it as an indirect state of emergency because Rivers State House of Assembly was peaceful and functional before the 27 friends decided to do what is ugly in Rivers State. And for the fact that the other members did not follow or support them, will not make or not feel as unable or inefficient House of Assembly. And then if you are understanding me, Mr. Kalana.
I'm trying to.
So our House of Assembly members are authentic and should follow the governor and other state executives to make sure that the state moves forward.
All right then.
Let the National Assembly finish what they are doing at Abuja and their constituencies and not to come and take charge of Rivers State. We are not in the state of emergency. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Call for movement.
Thank you, Ezekiel. Thank you for your thoughts there. Thank you. And it's a pleasure listening to everyone who has contributed. But now let's look at WhatsApp messages. And this one says, if you see, okay, I think it's an old message. Let's come here. Emi Fiaga says, based on the ground norm, assuming but not conceding that the 27 lawmakers defected and they lost their seats automatically, has been propagated by the governor's camp. Section 11, subsection 4 of the 1999 Constitution is altered to assign the responsibility of legislating for Rivers State to the National Assembly, because Section 96 requires quorum before legislative business can be transacted. Since 4 members cannot form a quorum, the National Assembly ought to assume responsibility of lawmaking for the state. A 3 or 4 man assembly is an aberration to our constitutional democracy. Emi Fiaga. All right, so I guess you align yourself with that of the lawyer. But let's listen. The talk of National Assembly taking over legislative business of Rivers State is not the business of the Joint Assembly. I think it's the House of Representatives that handles that business. And so Senate President Akpabio has no business in the deliberation of the House of Representatives, where Ikenga Ugochukwu and the so-called 60-man integrity group operate, and that is in favor of the governor. Do you realize that one of the National Assembly members who defected recently on the floor of the House of Representatives under the nose of Ikenga Ugochukwu and his group is a PDP member, the daughter of former Governor James Ibori, and till date Ikenga Ugochukwu has not opened his mouth to speak. However, with the Supreme Court about to handle the state matter in a matter of weeks or days, all of that may not be necessary, so let's wait for the Supreme Court decision. Okay, now everybody wants to wait. I thought I was begging everybody to wait at some point, but everybody insisted that certain things must be done as the state cannot grind to a halt. Okay, anyways, let's hear this one. Let's listen to this one. Says the Supreme Court to deliberate 5 matters bordering Rivers State. This is not good act for Rivers State, but at present there is nothing we can do because the 5 cases the Supreme Court let the Supreme Court do justice in the matter for me. The lawyer's interpretation is not right. National Assembly are overloaded with bills and oversight committee functions. Let them handle their legitimate duty. I want to take Clinton West with that one. And let's come here. It says KDB, right from the days of Wike's Rivers State House of Assembly. Okay, so right from the days of Wike, right, Rivers State, you didn't put a comma, so sorry. Rivers State House of Assembly has been on autopilot behind the problem in the state because somebody started the problem and have promised not to stop. The National Assembly can take over because Martin and his friends took them to court not to come and take over Emmanuel from Iwofe. Interesting. I was going to ask this question that moment. I was trying to remember what Isaiah George had said, and I was going to make a reference to the legislative arm in the United States, and I was going to ask, imagine for a second that the legislative arm is not functional. Let's say they were 32 members of their legislature and 27 of them or 28 of them were no longer available. Do you know the crisis? Do you know the crisis that would have befallen the United States? Which then gets me thinking, how effective, just like Emmanuel from Iwofe was trying to point at, how effective is the legislative arm of government in Nigeria, not just Rivers State now, in its entirety as a country, at the local government, state, or even federal government levels? How effective? That's a question. Because, it feels like... Anyways, I'm moving on. Irabuchi Splendid says, he's commenting from London, Frank Tete is speaking from his own view. Remember, the issue of law has many prisms, and Frank is speaking from his side of the prism. For me, the issue is politically motivated, which everyone knows, and will require a political solution. Godfatherism is the main issue here. We should do away with Godfatherism in our body politic. Thank you. So are you saying we shouldn't wait for the Supreme Court any longer? I'm wondering on that. But let's do I have a commercial? Yeah, I do. This one says, the inability of the National Assembly in taking a stand against Martin Amaewhule and his friends shows today's political leaders don't want this state to enjoy democracy, despite the Constitution of Nigeria that says you lost your seat once you defect. Are they not aware of the happening in Rivers State? Must our court openly interpret sections of the Constitution that is against defection? Is it wrong to say they are disappointed over the support for an individual that wants to keep the state under him? Finally, Rivers State is moving with Governor Sim, the leader.
Nigeria Info. We'll be right back.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is your pilot speaking. Today we have some